last few topics here. So discovery simulation, as I mentioned before, it's got a really nice addition for 2024 R2. So it's stolen my session. Yeah, cool. So local meshing, well, local mesh refinement is now available in Discovery. And what it is it's a GPU-based meshing algorithm. It's a fault-tolerant meshing algorithm as well, so it can deal with like overlaps in your geometry. And I am expecting to see this come through to Fluent. I think this is where our meshing algorithms are going. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. We've currently got a GPU solver, but all of our meshing for Fluent is still CPU-based. But what it means in Discovery is that you can now solve problems that have fine geometrical features, like these sort of fins here, but in a large domain, because that was always a real issue with Discovery, right? You have a big domain, but maybe you've got some, like, I don't know, heat exchanger fins or something like that. Pretty much impossible to solve because it relied on a pretty uniform mesh sizing. We've now got a way to deal with that. And you can also view the mesh, right? You'll see here, not only is it kind of looks like a polyhex core mesh, it's actually a bit better than a polyhex core mesh, but on the surfaces here of this pipe, you'll see it's using quad elements. So this is a better looking mesh than a standard polyhex core. And you can even sort of look through the whole volume there with a movable cut plane. Last topic, a few little additions in Rocky. I do apologize, not much of this is DEM based. It's all pretty much still fluids. It's looking at the SPH side of things. We've now got an implicit algorithm for SPH. The main thing to take away from this is it's faster than the weakly compressible approach, which is the default that's been in there until now. So yep, essentially SPH is just a little bit more accessible than it has been. We've finally got two-way coupling for Ansys Mechanical. So Rocky's had two-way coupling with Fluent for a very long time. But with Mechanical, it was always like a one-way thing, right? So you'd run your DEM simulation, you'd get the loads, and you'd pass that into Mechanical, and you'd work out whatever, your stresses and displacements. But it wasn't possible to then pass the deformed geometry back into Rocky. That is now possible. So that's a really nice addition to have there. You can do things maybe like a vibrating screen, which previously you'd have to use LS Steiner for. We've also got some thermal coupling between SPH and Ansys Mechanical thermal. So, you know, for this example here, we're sort of cooling a part of a gearbox. We've got custom motion frames. So if you've got like a detailed motion for an object that's specified with a CSV file, you can now import that and apply that detailed motion, rather than previously you could make the motion within Rocky itself, but it was more limited. So it wouldn't be able to handle these sort of finer details. And we now have native end-side integration. So essentially fancy post-processing. Actually on the next slide here, which is I believe my last slide, down the bottom, this is we very recently used for a consulting job, the ability to show very realistic looking water with SPH being displayed in Insight over here.